After a little break and back to bring you some news. Or rather, I think today I want to talk about trends for 2022 with a twist because every year we seem to predict the same things. Yet, not that much changes in terms of how fast companies adapt the digital marketing strategies to what's new. And I always want to make things useful. So today, first, I'd like to hear from you. What are you struggling with that you'd love to resolve next year? Let me hear it. Drop it in the comments. I'll wait. You done? I'm not going to take up people's time waiting for everybody to put in their questions because I know most of them will come if they do after this episode. But think about it. What would you do something differently next year or for next year? When it comes to trends, the question that I keep getting is about TikTok. Should I be on TikTok? And the quick answer is you should at least be on there and pay attention to what's happening. And I know that a lot of people think it's only the young people who are there, but that is no longer true. And in fact, we even have a generation of people who skipped from Facebook straight to TikTok. They never even joined Instagram. So they're there, and a lot of brands are actually doing quite well there. One of the fastest growing areas on TikTok is mental health and other social good areas. And a lot of organizations are able to really connect with people and do whatever they can to do good. And a lot of their content is spreading and going viral on there. So particularly if you're one of the spaces or your company has a very strong set of values or a mission that's outside of just selling your product, you may want to participate in TikTok and spread good news and do some good. And talking about good news, one of the things that I predict will continue to be a reality for 2022 is that we're going to struggle with a lot of bad news. And so, what people want online is to feel comforted. They're looking for community and a sense of safety. So, what you can do as a brand is really focus on community building for next year. We kind of got distracted by changes in algorithms and advertising opportunities on social networks. We got distracted from the original purpose of the social networks, which was to socialize and be part of communities, make new friends. I've actually made a lot of friends on Twitter who are good friends of mine, people I admire to this day. But then somehow, when we know why, the social networks changed their algorithms and they started focusing on showing more advertising content, paid content, and we all started paying Facebook to run ads. And as a result, we started focusing less on community building. And maybe those social networks are not a place to do so. However, groups are going really strong on Facebook in particular. And what happens in these groups is kind of hidden to us. Brands don't necessarily have visibility unless you have somebody who's joined in and is kind of stalking these groups, or they're incognito in these groups, although a lot of groups do not like that. But unless you have an insider, you may not know what's happening in there. A lot of conversation is happening in there. And not all of it is negative. People are helping each other. They're also talking about products they love and also talking badly about products and companies they don't. So you're going to want to figure out a way to either be part of those communities or create their own. We work with a lot of brands that have their own spaces in there. Or, for example, Instapot. If you were to look at Instapot social media presence, their social networks have fewer followers than the Instapot community group that's present that's available to you on Facebook. And that's a great example of a brand that's focusing more on community than their primary social networks rather than on broadcasting. This is not new. As I said, from the beginning of social media, community was a very important element. And at the beginning, before there was advertising, brands were a lot more focused on that. So it's time to refocus because we are going to continue to have difficult times. And so we got to be sensitive to that when we prepare content and engage with our audiences online. Another thing that I want to encourage brands to pay attention to for 2022 is marketing operations, going back to the basics and structuring things in a way that's going to support more of an omni-channel approach. We know that people now purchase, whether it's B2B or B2C, people use multiple devices. They may start the research on a mobile device or see something on a mobile device, come back later to look at your stuff on the desktop. They're switching amongst social networks, contexts, and so on. So, are they seeing a seamless experience? The expectation is, and studies have shown that 90% of people expect a seamless experience across devices and across social networks. But it's difficult to do so without proper data tracking, without the proper systems in place on the back end, so that you are able to bring together the experiences of people across social networks, that you're able to give them personalized information. Fundamentally, at the basis of this is a good customer experience. And marketing and sales and customer service have been separate functions, but now it's time to bring them back together and focus on the customer experience. You cannot have effective marketing if the customer experience is broken. And customer experience goes from everywhere to pay attention to messages they're sending you on social media and actually respond to them. It's amazing how many people feel like they're not getting responses there, or they fill in a form on a website, they may not get a response, or it's very delayed. You need to sort that out. Now is the time. Also, a seamless customer experience is even on the website itself. Is a seamless page to page. The pages on your website build up on each other. Also, on a mobile device, people don't think in terms of pages. Their navigation is not necessarily page to page. It's more of a flow. Are things flowing? Are they loading fast? I feel like these are things that we've been talking about for a very long time, and a lot of brands still haven't figured it out. The search function within your website, is it working properly? Is it actually giving people what they need? I look at a lot of back-end analytics for brands, and the search function is just broken, and people are searching for things that are there, but because of the improper nomenclature, because of how the site is organized, because pages may not have all the keywords necessary for people to find what they're looking for, the search gives 0 results, and that person's going to leave the website. All of these things have been around. It's not new. What's new is that people are expecting it much more so now. They want it to be easy and they want it to be quick. So focus on that for next year. There's more and more tools that enable you to do this in a seamless way. So that's why I call it marketing operations, because fundamentally we need the structure to be in place to support everything else that you're doing. Marketing, sales, and customer service should be working together. The systems should be working together. We still see companies having so many different systems that don't communicate with each other. So if somebody sends a message on the website, but also a message on Facebook, the systems don't bring that together. And the message on the website may go to customer service. The message on Facebook goes to the social media team. If they're not talking to each other, the experience is not going to be seamless. So pay more attention to that in the year to come. Those are the big things. The big question I get is about TikTok again. So one of the things that brings me to is influencer marketing. So even if you don't want to be on TikTok, TikTok is a pretty powerful platform for influencers. And in fact, so is Snapchat. They just released their report that actually Snapchat is the first and still the most powerful augmented reality platform out there. And so more and more brands are working with them to be able to give people the opportunity to dress up in a shirt without actually dressing up in the shirt, or to see how a product would place in your home without actually bringing it into your home. We're seeing more and more of this, and Snapchat is still doing a really great job at this, but that also offers opportunity for the brands to sell right out of the Snapchat platform. It's not a huge platform, but it's still around. By the way, Twitter is still around, and brands are still doing very well there. We just ran a campaign for a client, and I had this hunch that Twitter was going to be a good space for our advertising, just because of the nature of the customers that we were trying to attract. They were more technical, and we see a lot more technically minded people on Twitter. And lo and behold, when we got the results of the advertising campaign, we got all the sales from Twitter. LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram did nothing. And so it's important to think of all the channels for next year. On TikTok, you can work with influencers even if you don't want to be there. There's major trends on there around I bought it because of TikTok. So influencers there actually have a really powerful voice when it comes to what people end up wanting to buy. So don't be afraid of it. And in fact, TikTok is actually a lot easier than Instagram. Instagram has so many formats of content right now. It's honestly obnoxious. You have square images, wide images, you have tall video, you have reels, you have live video, you have stories. There are so many formats. As a marketer, when we try to do campaigns on Instagram and do them really, really well, where we have all the formats of content, it is incredibly time consuming. So Instagram for us marketers has become a quite expensive space, whereas TikTok is actually simpler and it's not that hard to learn. And when brands say, well, we don't know how to do it, we're not equipped to do it, there are people out there who are very good at this, and you can pay them to do it. And a lot of them are actually not going to charge you that much. So don't be afraid of it. But the first thing you can do is just go in there and explore. As an individual user, see what you learn. Although I warn you, it can really suck you in. It's very addictive. So I'm going to leave it at that, but still I want to hear what is, one problem, one thing that if you were to solve it, it would make your 2022 so much better in terms of your marketing results. So drop your comments below. And next week, I'll probably bring you news of the week, although I worry that it's going to be still a lot about TikTok and Instagram. I will see you back here next time.